So, what were we doing? What were we talking about? I'm just kind of like making a sort of update. I made a few videos the other day, and I didn't upload them because I feel like shit, and I look like shit. The whole Blair White, Red Pill, Black thing, I'm glad I kind of missed that. But obviously it's kind of like one of these things where it's like, it kind of filters into my consciousness on some level, because I'm obviously subscribed to a few channels, and it kind of filters in. So the controversy about Blair White, and I made a video earlier kind of saying, it was a bit of a dick move to sort of basically go down there looking for trouble just to get views and clicks, basically. But this is a kind of YouTube job, right? YouTube is all about sort of like, it's always been about trolling to get fame. So you go out, you do something really outlandish, you get fame, and then you build your fame around being, it's in a wrestling kind of a wrestling sort of way. It's like, I'm the bad guy, I'm turning heel, and then at some point you sort of turn face, and then everyone loves you, and that's the kind of the game, so to speak. It means you lose, and if you laugh, you lose, and if you lose, you also lose. So you lose the game, but you also lose the game. It's a lose-lose situation. So the Blair White thing, yeah, it's one of these, it's difficult, isn't it? I think from a sort of perspective of being someone who's sort of kind of take the makeup off and gone soft and called myself Detroit Southwest lover, put my ugly ass face on the album cover. But no, the thing that takes me back to when I was a kid. Yeah, I mean, I think Blair's one of these people who's had like lots and lots of kind of press recently, and just trying to keep her YouTube fame up, trying to keep her status in society, and that's what you do when you're in the game. Always trying to keep up the level of what you want. Speaking of a victim, or myself, victim. I've been a victim. Speaking of someone who's kind of been through the mill probably more times than I should have been. And I made this video about how I got like triggered the other day just because someone asked me if they like wanted men's belts or women's belts. I've got men's belts and women's belts in my fucking wardrobe just because the fashion, I like the fashion, but in that moment my head was just not in a logical place. It was in an emotional place, and it was just to kind of like caught me off guard. And that's tactics, isn't it? And this debate between Red Pill Black and Blair White, she's like, I'm going to call you a man, and it sort of took her off guard. And biologically speaking and all of this stuff, people are stuck logically, mentally thinking about specific things from a particular viewpoint. Scientifically speaking, and this is from a very, very hard-lined, hard-based scientific speaking, the only difference between a male and a female is literally on a scientific level is one carries sperm, one carries sperm and one carries ovums, eggs. So one is an egg carrier and one is a sperm carrier. Okay, that's it. It's not even about whether or not which species carries the baby to term. Like seahorses, for example, the female has the eggs. That's how you can classify it as being a female, because it holds the eggs. But the male has the sperm. That's how you classify it as a male. Males carry sperm, females carry eggs, but the male carries the baby to term. So that's a seahorse principle. So basically, what if, this is what I've been kind of conjecturing in my studies. What if you turn a person from a sperm carrier to an egg carrier? This is then the definition of what a female is. Someone that produces and carries eggs. So as long as the organism produces and carries eggs, it is a female. By scientific classification. If you're going to go hardline scientific classification, the classification of an organism for female is the species that carries the eggs of that species. And the male is the species that carries the sperm of that species. And with modern technology, you can do this. You can change a person's biology to being of that species that carries the eggs of that species. Do you understand? If you are incapable of understanding, please click along, move along. If you're not even watching these videos, just, if you're watching these videos, and you do not understand that, move along. If you're trolling, feel free to troll. Trolling yourself is always fun. That's how we learn on the YouTubes. And it's important to kind of understand that from a transhumanist perspective, of which I am a transhumanist. That's why I consider myself to be trans, because I'm a transhumanist. I'm not necessarily like one of these people who's like, oh, I'm gonna get like 1 million dicks on my tits and fucking shitting dick nipples and fucking have vaginas for eyes and stuff like that. I'm not that kind of a transhumanist. I'm the kind of transhumanist where, because I was born with certain sort of physical and mental deficiencies, is what I call them, because that's what they are, I wanted a cure for them. Like, I wanted a cure for my acne. I don't want spots on my skin. The only cure that I can get for that is having tattoos. I've spoken about this before. But if I could inject myself with a serum or something like that, or a DNA, something that could restructure my DNA to get rid of my spots and my acne, I would do this. So when I went into the science, it was about kind of accepting that, this was like the hand that life had dealt me, but that I wasn't necessarily going to accept that this was the hand that life dealt me, that it could be changed. And there's been so much being left out of that as well is just so fucking upsetting, because it's essentially my life, my life's work, my kind of research and all of this stuff, and I'm not even allowed to reap the benefits of my own hard work and labours. So it's like going to work, doing all the work, and then not even getting a fucking paycheck at the end of the day. That's what it's like for me on a personal level. Can't even go to the fucking clinic and afford to get my scars removed on my face. I can't, I don't have any money to do that. Whereas on a blue level, on a blue sky thinking, if I could just, restructure my face to have nicer skin, not just having to accept that. Oh, that's the way you were born and you've got to accept it. Well, I'm sorry. No, I don't. Not if I have the power to be able to do it. I don't have the resources to do it, but I do have the technology and the power to do it. And that's the thing about being trans for me, is all of the things that I aspire to create in my life are medically and scientifically provable realities, because they have been proven, and yet I'm still not allowed to even access that kind of level of technology and help. So it's upsetting. That's what I wanted to say. Scientific classifications. If you're going to go hardline scientific, expect to get pretty pied in the face.